Dear colleague, it's a great pleasure for me to share with you some concepts about the autologous regenerative therapy. The topic is the fluidity of the tissue that we are going to inject in the face treatments. The fluidity is very important, and the fluidity comes from the dimension of the cluster of the tissue that you are using. In the Cepheid procedure, the dimension of cluster that you obtain from the harvesting tissue is around 800 micron. Of course, in the face you have different areas with a different thickness of the skin and a different thickness of the subcutaneous tissue. And so it's very important to have a different kind of fluidity, different dimension of cluster of your tissue in order to inject all the area of the face without any risk of visibility and lumpiness of the tissue. In Cepheid procedure, to reduce the dimension of cluster, then to increase the fluidity of your tissue, it's enough some passages from one syringe to another with the tissue through the transfer that is included in the Cepheid medical device. For example, if you want to decrease the cluster dimension to 600 micron, it's enough to perform 2-3 passages from one syringe to another, and so you can inject the tissue with a needle of microcannula of 20 gauge. If you wanted to decrease more the cluster dimension, around 500 micron, you have to perform 5-6 passages from one syringe to another, and so you can inject with a 21 gauge needle or cannula. If you want to decrease more the cluster dimension, around 400 micron, you have to perform 10-11 passages from one syringe to another, and so you can inject the tissue with a 22 gauge needle or microcannula. If you want to decrease more your cluster dimension around 200 micron, so you have to perform 20-30 passages from one syringe to another, and so this tissue you can inject with a 27 gauge needle or microcannula. Of course, you have to consider that you are performing an injection of biological tissue. For this reason, you have to consider that it's possible that some little part of fibrotic tissue can clog your cannula or your needle. In this event, you have to consider to change the cannula and needle. And so I'm suggesting you that when you are starting a regenerative procedure, it's better to have some spare needles or cannula just in case of clog.